So what do you say we spend a little time in the garden today? All right, all right, all right. I've got this allium plot behind me we need to finish planting. I've got 5 varieties of onions I need to add in here, and we're going to be putting in some elephant garlic. So this is our plot in the dream garden here where we're planting all alliums, onions, garlic, and I'm going to put 1 row of leeks on the end. They're not quite ready in the greenhouse, so we won't be getting that today, but we're going to pretty much fill up this plot, all except but 1 row. On a previous video, we talked about the 3 keys to growing onions, and we put these guys here in the ground. We've got a row of plethora onions, right behind that a row of cougar onions, and right behind that a row of Carta Blanca white onions. And these puppies here are looking good. Virtually no transplant shock whatsoever since we went straight from seed tray to in the ground. Been keeping them watered with that berry drip tape there, and they're just a-growing. And yesterday afternoon I came out here, went ahead and laid off my rows and buried some of my drip tape. So we're putting our rows in here 3 feet apart, a little wider than you really need for onions, but since we're doing a trial here with all these different varieties, we want to give them plenty of space so we can keep it nice and clean and see the differences between these varieties. So I've got 7 rows laid out here, 5 for onions, 2 for elephant garlic over there. These 5 rows for the onions, I've already got that drip tape buried there, and right here we didn't bury any drip tape because something happened. You see this right here? Yep, that's an empty roll of 8 mil drip tape. That's all that's left right there, that little piece. So the thing about these drip tape rolls is when you get into the end of them, it's hard to tell really how much you got left. These rolls hold 640 feet of drip tape. When you get into the bottom there, it's hard to tell if you've got enough to finish the next row or just half a row or whatever. It's kind of like when you get to the end of a roll of toilet paper, you're just hoping you got enough. But thankfully I had just enough to finish that 5th row. And we got 2 rows that I showed you for elephant garlic where I wasn't able to put any tape down. I didn't really have time to go back to the shop and get more tape, but I got a solution. So I've got this roll of 15 mil tape here. I used just a little bit of this doing my blackberries earlier this year. Now you can see the rolls are different here. This is kind of a short stubby roll, and this roll will not work with our drip tape layer attachment. Only the 8 mil tape will. But I figured, hey, it's a good time to show everybody how you do it if you don't have a drip tape layer attachment. This is going to be a good opportunity to show you how you do it by hand, and I think it's going to work better for the garlic, and I'll tell you why. So when we're planting garlic, as we'll see in a minute, we want to plant it kind of deep, or at least deeper than our onions. And it works really well if you got a little trench like this or a furrow to plant it in. So as opposed to using our drip tape layer attachment, which is going to put that tape down in the furrow and cover it all in one pass, here we've got a nice little trench for our garlic. So I can lay that 15 mil tape in here by hand. I can put the garlic beside the emitters, then I can come back and close this furrow and heal it up nice and high so I get that garlic planted deep like I want it. So to do this, all we need is a stop, as we call it in the South, or in this case a piece of rebar. We've got our staking nail here that we normally use with our drip tape layer attachment. We're going to use that to hold this tape in place here. And we want to make sure our emitters are facing upwards, and on this 15 mil tape you see there's a seam right there. That's where the emitters are. I want to make sure they're facing towards the sun. So we're just going to grab this and walk backwards, and when we get to the end of the row we'll cut it off. Now this tape here will look a little windy and crooked until we turn the water on. It'll straighten out, and then once we bury it while the water is on, it'll be nice and straight. But we're going to go ahead and hook it up here. Get my row start out of here. Get my main line straight there. Trim this off right here. Get some of that dirt off that row start there. Twist that on there. Tighten it down with the nut. Punch us a hole here. And get her locked in. And then we'll put our row end on here. And I'm going to trim this up just a hair so it doesn't extend past the end of the plot. Get me a row end. Slide that through there. Fold it back. And there we go. All right, we got our irrigation set up. Now let's go see what kind of onions we're going to be planting today. All right, I got 5 varieties of onions here to add to the 3 varieties we already have in the ground. Let's see what we've got here. We've got a red onion called Red Maiden. That's a new one we just added this year. I've grown the Red Creole before and a couple other red varieties, but really excited about trying this Red Maiden. We've got this Vidalia or kind of Granix flattened onion variety called Sweet Agent, and I've heard a lot of really good things about it, so that's one of the ones I'm most pumped about. We've got a new one here called Duster, and this is a more round onion, and personally I like the round onions better than the flat onions, but a lot of people like the flatter onions. We're growing a little bit of a both. I do like the flat onions. The round one's just a little more easier to cut up in my opinion. And then we've got a variety called Savannah Sweet, which we've had for a couple years on the site. I grew it last year, made some really nice big onions. I think my buddies over at Deep South Homestead grew some of these, and we're really impressed with them. You can go over there to their channel and check out their video on those Savannah Sweet onions if you want to see more about that. And then lastly here, we've got a variety called Sweet Harvest. This is another one I grew last year. Similar to the Savannah Sweet, and I actually think that the Sweet Harvest is about to be discontinued and replaced with a variety called Sweet Jasper, which is almost identical. I grew both of them last year. But anyway, we had a few of these Sweet Harvest seeds left, so we're going to give those a go in our onion trial plot. So we grew all our onion plants out in our 338 cell trays. Work great for onions, and these guys are ready to go in the ground. We can pull them up out of the tray. Sometimes it comes with the soil there, all in a nice block. If the soil pulls apart from it, it's not a big deal at all. If it shakes loose like that, it's still fine. As long as we have that root there intact, we can stick them in the ground. I won't come close to using all these onions. We just grew a full tray to kind of double check our germination, which appears to be really good. All right, so I made me a little planting map here so I can remember which variety is on each row, so when these things do get ready we can use this as a reference to compare the varieties. And I've got each variety, each tray laid out in front of the row. Now it's time to plant. So instead of dragging this entire tray down the row, what I'll do is I'll just reach in here and I'll just grab me a handful of these and drop them about 3 places along that row there, and that way I don't have to pull that tray down the road. And if I have a couple more plants left over, I don't try to stick them back in here. As you can see, I've got plenty there, still plenty enough to give away to anybody who wants some. And we'll just stick our plants here right on top of this drip tape, or right to the side of it. We don't want to plant them too deep, just about that deep right there. I'm gonna put them about 4 to 6 inches apart or so. We can come back in here and thin them later as green onions if we want to. We'll just work our way along the row, get all these varieties in the ground. All right. We got them in, all 5 rows there. Still a heap of plants left to spare. Now keep in mind here, we're growing short day onions because we're down here in the south, in South Georgia in zone 8B, and that's the type of onions we're supposed to grow. So all these varieties are short day varieties. You need to go on our website if you're not sure, if you're in a short day, intermediate day, or long day region. Go on our website, take a look at that map, and you'll be able to see which types of onions you should be planting. If you live in the middle of the country or up north, you're not going to be planting these varieties. You're going to be planting intermediate or long day varieties. Now in just a second here, I'm going to go ahead and hook up my water and let those rows get nice and soaked there so those onion plants can take off and we'll be off to the races. I'm also probably within the next day or so going to go ahead and start shooting some fertilizer to them. I'm going to give them some 20-20-20 or some complete fertilizer. Probably throw a little micro boost in there and inject that through the drip system. And we're going to do that for a month or so, probably every 2 weeks, maybe for 2 months. We're gonna do that initially so we can encourage some good root development, and then we'll switch to a straight nitrogen fertilizer on in the later part of the vegetative phase of the onion. Now I know I had told you initially that we were going to be planting elephant garlic today, but it doesn't look like that's going to make this video. But I promise on the next video we're going to be filling in these last 2 rows here with some elephant garlic. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So if you live in a short day onion growing region, let me know if you're trying any of these varieties we planted today. And let me know which ones you're excited about seeing the results from, which ones you think are going to make the biggest, sweetest onion. And if you're not in a short day region, you're intermediate day or long day, and you're waiting to, you know, late winter, spring to plant your onions, let me know which varieties you're going to be growing this year. I'll put a link below to all our great onion varieties so you can go check out and pick up which ones are appropriate for your growing region. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you get notified every time we come out with a new video. And if you enjoyed this one, check out these other 2 videos right here. One I did recently on 3 keys to growing onions, and another video on planting elephant garlic. We'll see you next time.